for the next half hour.
Alrighty. Alright. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Horrible Games. How y'all doing? We're here to raise money for the Heartland Animal Shelter, and we have our next runner all ready to go. It is Tempestmask1000 with Mighty Number 9 and commentator Mr. Cab.
Hello, everybody. My friends, fellow inspired game developers, welcome to your impromptu masterclass on what not to do when building your challenge mode for your indie game. In other words, my name is Tempestmask1000, and I today will be running for you all Mighty Number 9, but with a twist. This is not going to be any percent. This is not going to be the main story. No. Rather, we are going to be doing something that's lesser looked at and a little more experimental for my tastes anyway. This is challenge mode, and this is challenge solo. So what I'm going to do exactly is I'm going to go through challenges number 1 to 23, and for the reason that these are actual challenges, whereas everything else is basically time trial on one life, and that would take way too long to complete. Now, we'll see how timing goes, but if I feel the need to, then I will just skip a trial so we can at least get through the whole shebang. But joining me today is a Mighty Number 9 person himself, the wonderful Mr. Cab.
I guess we can still consider me a Mighty Number 9 person. I have to admit I haven't really played the game since like the 2017 time frame, but it's memorable. Let's go with that.
Absolutely. Also, I do apologize if Cab's microphone sounds a little bit buzzy in advance, because that's just something that we're going to work with, but I hope you all understand. And with that, we're going to get going, so time will begin when I select my first trial, and I'll try to explain things as I go on what these challenges involve. Also, I want to thank that one donor for immediately meeting the, or near immediately meeting the Mighty Number 9 incentive, because we will be taking on Beck's siblings later on. Also, pardon Techno Rock 11, that's just my gamer tag. We're playing on Xbox One. Alright, let's get started. So, we're gonna just take on the challenges in whatever order I so please, and we're just gonna start simple with number 1, head to the goal. So, timer ready, and we'll begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go! And we're off. Alright, Mr. Cab, would you like to explain a little bit about Mighty Number 9?
Well, Mighty Number 9 was one of those, hey, let's get Mega Man going again Kickstarters from way back when. A game eventually came out, and well, here we are. We're in the challenge mode now, where I believe we actually can't dash for this one, so that's why we're just kind of walking through it.
Pretty much.
Oh, man, I didn't even remember we had a wall grab in this game. But so the game actually, a lot of people had a lot of bad experiences with this game when it came out, mostly from crashing and everything else. If you played this on the PlayStation 3 or Wii U, please don't. Just stop now, save yourself.
Yes, save yourself.
Play it on the next generation of consoles. When this game works, it actually does become a fun speed game, and I'm glad we made it to the end of that first challenge there. He gave you that nice killer jump at the end for no reason.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, this is going to be a little impromptu masterclass on what not to do when you're building your indie games challenge mode. One of the things you need to know about challenge mode is that this was actually one of the stretch goals that Mighty Number 9's Kickstarter had met for it. And if I'm not mistaken, this might have been one of the things that the developers, or rather the development team, literally had to add because they were just receiving so much money. A good whopping $4 million for this game's development. As it would turn out, though, Keiji Inafune, while I have much respect for the man, he definitely had quite a lot of ideas for what he wanted to do with Mighty Number 9 in terms of as a IP franchise or whatnot. And it's fair to say that some of the money earned behind the Kickstarter was attempted to go to that, like animated series, for example. As you can see, we don't quite have any full episodes on that yet. We do have a trailer, though. Otherwise, well, what else can I say but,
Say it.
It's better than nothing. But that was not what he said. This was something that his translator Ben Judd said, who, fun fact, is the original Phoenix Wright voice, known for the famous objection. But with that in mind, we have already completed a couple of trials, and now we have gained access to Beck's main mechanic, Accelerate. Cab, if you could explain that a bit.
So the accelerate mechanic is kind of used as this weird mechanic in game to kind of actually kill enemies and absorb their, I don't know, their life force, their parts, whatever.
It's their
But
Zell.
their Zell, which is really their robot cells, which is a whole nother story for later. But as far as speed and movement mechanics goes, as you've probably already figured out, it's basically our dash. So Beck can dash. He can air dash. And you can do this infinitely. You can just do it. And as long as you can mash it out and time it out properly, you'll lose a little height over time. But you can cross massive distances. You probably saw some down dashes there too. You don't have an up dash. At least I don't remember there being one.
No.
But you can dash down and fall faster.
Basically. Now, one of the things that dashes does do is if you're dashing and you do get hit, your knockback is increased greatly. And that can be a pain because, unfortunately, this game has Mega Man 1 syndrome, where if you get damaged and hit by any instant death obstacles, that does mean you're still going to die despite having those iframes, which is exactly what Mega Man 1 did. Otherwise, hello, this is the Break the Targets challenge. Get used to this layout because you're going to be seeing that quite a bit. We're just starting off with basic Beck, though, and it goes pretty fast as one can see. Also, you might have noticed that the in-game menu, or at least the choose your trial menu, has a best time feature. However, there is no way, in my knowledge, to clear that manually, so therefore a category like this would better benefit from RTA. Anyway, this next challenge, I need to get a 10 combo of 100%. So whenever an enemy is within its vulnerable state where I can dash into it and absorb its cell, the longer it happens, the less the percentage bonus is. Now, it doesn't matter if I take damage or not, it just wants me to keep the chain going for 10 enemies total. Now, I just gotta handle these ticks right here, and this last one should do the trick. There we go. Now, as you just saw right there, a couple more robots spawned. That's because they have this continuous cycle going. That's just the design of the stage itself. And yet again, this is another one of the things that the game likes to repeat. Proceed with caution, however, is one of the first dangerous points of this experimental category. So, Cab, if you could explain a few things about the game and what it likes to do to you, I suppose you could say. Anything goes, really. I just need to focus on avoiding the instant death pink stuff.
Yep, pink stuff bad. That's really what it boils down to here. That one right there, you had to duck under it. The game almost never tells you that there's this whole, if you hold down and dash, you basically slide. And there was one, it was actually in the demo of all things stage where they have something like that, and they just kind of expect you to know that, and it's awful. And yeah, this is the video game. Other than that, I mean, this is exactly what it looks like. It's just climb through and don't get killed by the Quickman lasers.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, this is the last stretch. Hey, there we go.
Sometimes and you can start seeing these double dashes through the air, that becomes a huge part of movement tech in this game.
Exactly. Now, that little middle electric bar right there can sometimes trip me up. It's kind of easy to die to things like that, even though I do have the general timing of when the on and off insta-death traps have for their startup and whatnot. Anyway, we're back to the target range. This time is Pyrogen. This is our reselection. This is a general, this is basically the, hey, Beck can inherit the powers of his brothers and sisters. It's essentially Mega Man's copy ability, but with the added bonus of everything about Beck changes, and this is what I would wager this is what kind of inspired Mega Man 11's version of the power-ups, where more of Mega Man took changes compared to, say, the color palette. So that was a very interesting way to motivate it, if this is indeed the case. But otherwise, Beck does inherit his siblings' abilities in a general sense, but there are some powers that aren't necessarily good, and this can translate into the difficulty to some of these challenges.
The appearance thing, I think, was like originally one of those Mega Man 1, early Mega Man ideas, and it was just the NES couldn't handle it. But so they brought it back here, and then I think you're absolutely right that once they brought it back here, they brought it back in 11. Side note, chat just said hydrate.
Oh yeah, I have a water bottle.
That's right, everybody hydrate.
Well, my number 2 was actually a water boss, and that is the weapon we are currently breaking the targets with.
Cryosphere's resurrection is probably one of my least favorite because it doesn't have too much use, but then again, it is capable of slowing down enemies, and the projectiles can shoot through walls, which makes it a bit more convenient that way. But the mission that specifically involves putting that ability to that test is a pain in the butt. We'll talk about why that is when we get there. I can say that while there are some weaker usable reselections, conversely, there are some pretty busted ones as well. Dynatron will not be one of those, however. Dynatron is interesting in the sense that it's basically more shoot through the walls projectiles and these spread shot particles that can attach to targets and can do these long-range electric beams. The only problem is sometimes they won't hit, and sometimes they can be a bit of a waste in energy and stuff. And well, yeah, as you can see right there, I just fired 3 spreads, refusing to hit that target. But on the bright side, the electric beam itself can still act as a source of damage to whatever it hits. So it's not the worst thing. And the best part is that I can also absorb the Zell of any weakened robot that is attached to the particle or the beam of electricity, I guess you could say. By the way, I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of good friends of mine who are in the same room as me. They are being my local supports for this, and they're giving a nod and stuff, even though you can't see them on cam. But shout out to them, good pals of mine. Otherwise, yeah. Speaking of pals, you can technically do co-op with this game. Unfortunately, it's online only, and I don't think you're going to find that many people to play this game with. But hey, if anybody would be willing to give it a chance with me, I would be more than happy to knock those co-op challenges out of the way. But one thing you got to understand about challenges is that you have to unlock them throughout a normal playthrough of the game. So whenever I unlock, say, a resurrection like Seismic right here, I will get his set of challenges. But every challenge in the solo menu will all be unlocked by the time you beat the normal game. And believe me, that in itself was an interesting experience. Let's just say Trinity and I have a bit of a bad history when I was recording a casual playthrough. Oh, you say that, Cab, and yet I'm not so sure myself. But anyway,
shoutouts to Seismic's weapon, by the way, because that little bulldozer attack is one of the best parts of this game. It's so much fun to just drive around.
Oh, I agree.
Excellent hydration, by the way. Excellent hydration.
Heck yeah.
And also shoutouts for bringing a couch to an online marathon.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It was a very impromptu though. We just simply had company over today, and these guys were more than understanding of the circumstances. Meanwhile, we were all just playing a bit of casual stuff like, oh, I don't know, a good old Tekken 3 beatdown and stuff like that, you know. And my dude to my right side was rocking Paul Phoenix like it was nobody's business. But with that said, here we had Battalion. Now, he's probably one of the more broken reselections of the game because, as you saw right there, he has a missile that I can detonate on button press or when it gets far enough for me. It's pretty powerful, let's just put it that way. And then here we have...
If you've played Mega Man 8 and used the flash grenades, if you've played Mega Man 11 and used the giant bombs, it is the go-to weapon for the run.
Exactamundo. Here, on the other hand, we have Avi, or Aviator's resurrection, which is basically hovering, but also helicopter blades. As you can see right there, the helicopter blade is, whenever it has the space to move, it just does it in this particular pattern as you see here. Not the best thing, but at the very least, the propeller blade itself can do some damage as well. Ooh. I don't know how to feel about the targets doing chip damage, though, whenever I touch it. Or at least, wait, I say chip damage, but is that even correct? Probably not.
I'll go with chip damage. They're doing little bits of damage.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, anywho, you might have noticed that there's a red power-up above Beck's head within these Reselection Break the Target challenges. Cap, could you explain the 3 types of power-ups?
Well, there were 3 power-ups in this game. Really, there's kind of 4 different colors you'll see enemies turn. You might have noticed earlier some in the consecutive combo challenge. Some turned yellow, some turned green, some turns blue. What color did I leave out there? Red.
Red.
The red one, once you absorb some red Zell, Beck's attacks will get a little stronger. The yellow ones will increase his defense, although I don't think I ever really noticed what that really kind of did for you. And the green ones make Beck move a little bit faster. The blue ones are a little more relevant in the actual speedrun because you can basically build up an E-tank by absorbing a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So the red ones do change weapon properties, sometimes for the worse, but you definitely do more damage with them. But that mostly gets kind of reserved for single-player tech that I largely forget, but it kind of went down to when did iframes get triggered and how long did they last. Brandish here is kind of your melee boss in this game. You get the couple of swords there, it turns you into 0, except not really. And it's a strong weapon, if I recall. It's just also melee.
Yeah, I will say that Brandish does give me a lot of Kill la Kill vibes just because his blade almost reminds me of the scissor blades in a way. It's kind of funny, really, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense. I mean, Beck certainly doesn't want to lose his way, if you get what I'm saying. I'm a bit of an anime fan, in case you didn't notice. And no, I did not cry on prom night, as the trailer might have assumed. I had a wonderful time on prom night during my senior year at high school, and actually the funny thing is, it might have not happened had it not been for me feeling good on that day, but I prevailed. So take that, Mighty No. 9 trailer. Alas, that was Counter Shade, and this is probably one of the more interestingly technical weapons in my opinion, because you might have noticed that the bullets bounce and home in on targets. At the same time, the bullets have a bit of a low ammo count in general, which means that it's not necessarily the most reliable thing, especially with certain collisions that might prevent the bullet from bouncing, period. And we'll get into that when we do. You haven't seen it yet, though. This is the first dedicated challenge to the Reselection, though. And this is Pyrogen's challenge, and this is where things get a little interesting, because as you can see here, I can't move. I can turn, but this is essentially an endurance challenge. My objective is not based on time, but on, well, surviving and high score. It's kind of weird how they just suddenly decided to do this, but I guess it's fine. More importantly, though, I just want to stay alive, and coming up with, the next time we see something like this is Dynatron. But when we get to Cryos, that's where I'm probably going to try and focus. But I will open up the floor to some donations during then. As you can see there, the game just lagged a bit when I took all the damage within the presence of all those enemies. Despite the fact that the Xbox One version of Mighty No. 9 is probably one of the more stable ones you'll find out there. It doesn't change the fact that there's some things even the Unreal Engine 3 at its time cannot necessarily handle. And on that note, I really should mention that this game came out for a lot of platforms, 2 of which have yet to see any versions, period. That being the 3DS and PS Vita versions, and I do believe that ever since Concept became Level 5 Concept, that being Keiji Inafune's studio that designs games, not develops them, they claimed that they're still going to try and work on that. We've yet to see it, but I guess I have hopes for those who, oh no. This could be a bit dicey. Ooh, unfortunate, but yeah. Anyway, as I said, this is going to be a little more of a serious challenge because as you saw right there, I have a peg of health, and I have to use Cryo's ice powers to freeze those mines to then step over them before they explode anyway. So, Sporadic, if you got any donations, I'd be happy to hear them.
All right, well, I do want to point out the fact that we met our target goal of raising $500 for this marathon. In fact, we blew it away. We're sitting at $600. And so we have actually raised that target to $800. Now, we only have 3.5 runs to do that in, since we're about halfway through this run, would you say?
I would say so, but at the same time, you never know what could possibly happen. This is one of those more difficult challenges, and therefore, it's likely possible that we could go slightly overestimate, because sometimes the predictability of these things, even with quite a bit of practice that I put into this darn thing, could potentially go awry. But alas...
Plus, we have that lovely incentive that we are trying to meet as well. So I would say that our viewers have about... four-ish hours, less than 4 hours to raise $200 more for the Heartland Animal Shelter. That is our goal.
Heck yeah. Do it for the animals, friendos. As a dog owner, or as someone whose family owns a dog, I gotta say, giving pets a chance to have happy, healthy lives, it fulfills me. Ooh!
That is right. We decided that this entire marathon has already decided to save the animals.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, I'm just waving a quick goodbye to my friends. It looks like it's time for them to head off. But again, shoutouts to them for being there for me. It was wonderful to have some company down there, and that little Tekken 3 mention did indeed get a couple of laughs. Tekken 3 is a very interesting game to experience for the first time, especially if you're using a PlayStation Classic, but that's a story for another time. Allow me to explain why I feel like these challenges were well intended, but fell way off the mark. As you can see right here, these are very bare-bone designed rooms, and if it were me, I would at least try to add in a little bit of a variety, if you will. Especially because this is the only song that you're hearing whenever you're doing a challenge. It's kind of unfortunate, if you ask me, because Minami Matsume is the lead composer behind Mighty No. 9, who is also responsible for Mega Man 1 soundtrack. And it's actually a pretty good soundtrack. Someone even put it... Oh, dang it! Someone even put it over Mega Man 11 as a mod, and it was actually pretty cool. Give it a watch. It's on YouTube. But otherwise, yeah, as you can see right here, I'm having a little bit of trouble keeping a hold and then trying to jump up. Beck can technically lift himself up if I press or hold up, but even then I'm just trying to move as fast as I can, because as you might have noticed, I cannot dash in this mission, and that is why this is definitely one of the more pain in the butt things about this very challenge from Cryo. But yeah, I will allow Cab to say more things about the game while I try to give myself a lot more serious time than I have already been.
I mean, this challenge I can see where it's like trying to teach you to use all these weapons in weird ways, and like my biggest complaint is going to be like a lot of these challenges and a lot of ways they tell you to use the weapon, you really don't use them at all during the game. I think Cryo's weapon probably has the least use of any of the weapons throughout the entire game. I'm not even sure you use it in an 80% run.
No!
It's been long enough.
I was there. All right.
So close.
I'll tell you what. I'll come back to that challenge. I'm not going to put it off completely just yet, but we probably should move on because I don't want to keep you all waiting to see what else this game has to offer. We're going to go to Dynatron's unique challenge now, and that is another survival room. Now, I got 1 peg of health. Got to be very careful because I got to also put her ability to the best use I can. On the plus side, I can stall for time, but not for too long, because then the robots of the next wave will still spawn, so it's something to keep in mind regardless. And those crane bots right there are now holding explosive barrels. Meanwhile, these mini bots are probably the worst. I tend to die to their projectiles quite a bit, but that seems to be fine. Now we have fast robots. And here's some of the buffs that, the colored buffs that Cab talked about earlier. coming into play. The first challenge actually used the speed boost quite a bit as a way to sort of get the speed moving in general for that challenge, if you will. Actually, yeah, okay. Oh no! Oh no! Those ticks! Oh, those. Oh no! Did my capture freeze? Oh no!
It does look like it did. Yeah, it does look like it did freeze.
Ooh, that's very unfortunate. We might have to pause it there because that's going to might require a restart. I'm very sorry for that. Oh, that does not usually happen. Yeah, the game did freeze. I apologize. Do you think we could make quick time for me to fix that?
We need to get going.
All right, we good to
All right.
go?
Let's get going.
Yep.
Send it back.
Yep, and you are on.
Thank you everyone for waiting. We are back. We have everything fixed, and Tempest Mask is going to take it away once again.
All right, we're going to get back to the mood and things, and I do apologize for that technical difficulty, but we're going to roll with it. If it happens again, we'll just figure it out, but I think we'll be okay. So we're just going to keep it going. I'm going to restart that, and just to keep up with trying to stick to the schedule, I might have to skip some challenges, because we are... just the fact that things sort of took a technical difficulty wouldn't necessarily make this a legitimate run anyway, but I hope you all are still having a good time seeing Mighty Number 9 here in action for something so rare as the challenges, because I gotta say, I've always wanted to speedrun this game, and I'm just glad that I get to show it to you all today. So with that said, we are back to doing Dynatron's thingy. Let's see if we can keep a stable feed going, because, man, we do not like technical issues, and I don't think Beck does either. But more importantly, as you might have seen earlier, or no, you did not see this. So what exactly happened was we got to those mini ticks that essentially became the bane of that particular attempt. So as you may have noticed that every time oh no, oh shoot. That was a spawning enemy right there. but you may have noticed that the ticks tend to jump out of the way whenever I attack. That's an interesting callback, though, to how Mega Man bosses can be a bit responsive based on what you do, and yet for an enemy like this, you don't really see that much in Mighty Number 9, so it might as well seem random to those unfamiliar with that sort of design philosophy. Alas, one issue within the game itself is that spawning enemies can potentially kill you. This is something that I'm sure a lot of casual players have experienced themselves. I've seen it quite a few times mentioned in reviews. It just seems to be a thing that can be sort of a rookie mistake when it comes to working in Unreal Engine or any 3D game-making program. It just happens. It doesn't change the fact that it's a bad thing, but it just happens. And, well, I figured it'd be worth mentioning. But, yeah, unfortunately, that challenge is a bit rough around the edges, too. So we're just gonna move along and proceed with the next one, which is, funny enough, also one of the harder ones, but I did make sure to practice for this. Also, hello, Mello. Good to see you, my dude. Shout out to Mello Flows in the chat. He is one heck of an awesome Mega Man runner. He, Mr. Cab, and I are actually part of a little crew that would do some weekly Mega Man 6 races. It's been a while since we've all done that all together, but we still keep in touch and stuff, and yeah. Because Mega Man 6 is a pretty cool game.
This is why I love the Seismix weapon.
Yeah, exactly. So,
literally bouncing on enemies.
Unfortunately, the bound effect is a bit touch and go, because as you might have noticed, I have to use it to get across these gaps. I do not have my access to acceleration, meaning that I have to basically use precise Mario Kaizo-like jumps. And I do mean that because some of these jumps require me to hold the jump button to get that extra height for Seismic's thing, which is also something that you might not notice yourself in normal gameplay. Otherwise, it's not the worst when you get used to it. But whoa. Otherwise,
Almost.
things like that can happen because the bound effect has this unfortunate little side effect where it can knock enemies into other enemies, which can be a good offense, but then you also can't absorb them. And also, so basically you hit them once and then you hit them again and they go flying, and then they're no longer a suitable platform. So that's something to keep in mind. It's something I have kept in mind because when I recorded a casual playthrough of this game and the challenges, this took me the longest. But otherwise, I can get pretty dang far, and I know that this challenge is doable. I mean, I have, as you might have seen, completed 1 to 23 before, and there we go. That's the thing that we like to see right there. Alrighty, so now we're moving on to Battalion, and this is probably one of the most unique challenges within the solo challenges. I have 6 shots and I'm stuck to a ladder. I need to make all of those shots count. Now, it's basically a puzzle, but luckily I know the answer. I just need to shoot those enemies first, and then I go all the way to the bottom, but then nudge myself up to shoot those enemies, and then this little guy right here, because the explosion can indeed go through stuff. I should have been a little bit faster, though, because now I have to wait for this helicopter enemy to go all the way down, and then I shoot the missile, and then, boom, it breaks that block. I shoot it into that enemy, boom, it breaks those blocks, and then finally the wheel enemy is going to carry this missile all the way over there, destroying that last guy, and it's mission clear. And that is probably one of my favorite things to do just to show off, I guess. But it's not really showing off. And I will admit, I actually had to look up the answer the first time because this game can make you do things that you realize, how was I supposed to know this in the first place? Cab said it before, and I say it now. Here we have Avi's challenge, and we have a ridiculously generous time limit of 999 seconds. We're not going to lose to timeout here, that's for sure. And it's not going to be the last time.
Avi.
Thanks, Avi. Yeah, in case you don't get where that comes from, one of the things you hear Avi himself say in the main game. Actually, I do have a request for the chat for anyone watching. Just because of the offset chance, or unlikelihood, rather, that I'm not going to get any combo shoutouts from the announcer here. If I do get any good, great, excellent, or amazings, or wonderful like that, I'd like you all to state it yourselves in the chat. That's if we happen to get that anyway, but keep your eyes peeled just in case we do. I'm having a bit of trouble getting up there. There we go. As you can see, the health pickups not just fill our health, but also our special weapon gauge for the reselections, which is pretty neat, but also just something to keep in mind in general, because the reselection special gauge also recharges on its own. That's just evident by how we do not have any weapon refill items, just health refill items and power-ups and stuff. One of the more unique things that sets Mighty No. 9 apart from Mega Man, and yet it's just a very small thing that I guess I wouldn't have minded if it was there. But
You get weapon refills back also by just absorbing enemies as you defeat them.
this is true.
It actually makes defeating enemies, like getting that, a little important during the run, just to make sure as you're blowing stuff up with the grenades, as you're bulldozing through enemies, you remember to absorb a couple of them too.
Right. That's especially important because this does pertain to enemies that turn blue. So we're here at our final survival challenge of the unique missions for the Mighty Numbers and Beck's reselections. And this is Brandish's. I just need to, avoid getting hit as best I can. I have half health, and this is a demonstration of how Brand's sword swings can deflect bullets, which is a nice thing, but you also have to wonder, why is this mission keeping track of my high score if I'm not getting any points? Well, that's the thing. I have a charge spin slash thingy that deflecting bullets using that will get me some points, but I'm more focused on surviving, if you will. Plus, the mission already gives me 3,000 for just winning. I assume this is based on how much health I have remaining, though. Let's see if I can eke this last bit out. There we go. That can be a bit scary, though. Yeah, so I just got 1,000 points, and I'm assuming that is based on how much health I had left over. So yeah, I guess that's one way to earn a score. Good on them. So here we have Mission 22, and this is Counter Shade's Trial. All I need to do is use the bullet ricochet and destroy a number of enemies. One thing you might notice, with a lack thereof within the user interface of Mighty No. 9, is that the challenges don't necessarily give you a target number to determine how many things you have to do left. For instance, all those break the target missions had me try to find all those targets by myself, which, had they actually changed the layout between the Mighty Numbers and Beck himself, that would have probably required a bit of searching, but because they don't do that, it's very easy to memorize. Any aspiring game developers that want to throw in a challenge mode in their game, I would not recommend doing that. But I guess it's all up to you, as long as you can make the experience varied and interesting. Aside from that, though, I am using the ricochet, and as you might have noticed, some of my bullets are completely getting stuck within some of the ground collision, and I don't know why this happens within the game, but another thing about Seismic that, or at least I've noticed within his challenge, is that Beck sometimes has his grab-up animation despite landing on the floor. Yeah, I can't explain that. I cannot explain that even if I wanted to. Alright, so it is possible to hit all those final 5 enemies within one full shot, but it's not the easiest as well. Alas, we have come to our final challenge, and I think we are going to be calling time on that challenge once we complete it. And this is use everything you got. You have access to all of your skills, all the reselections, and it's here that I gotta show you that, as you just saw me do at the very beginning, upon equipping Battalion's weapon, that required me to use these buttons to scroll through a menu, and yeah, it's definitely not the quick weapon change that later Mega Man games use, that's for sure, but when you get the hang of it, it's not the worst thing, I'd say.
Yeah, the weapon switch game is kind of weird because you have to like switch over to it and then select it again. So as long as you know the right sequence of L and R buttons to press, you can get there. You just have to remember you have to push one extra button at the end of it, which is kind of weird. But I guess they didn't want to have Beck switching form every time you switch a weapon.
I guess so, but at the same time we have a quick swap. Now that's something you have to assign in the pause menu, which is already a bit of a time waste in its own right, but at the same time, I guess it's there to help. I don't think it's super duper easy to do, though, if you want to do an actual any % speedrun or whatnot. I'm going to show something interesting with this big guy right here. All I need to do is just damage him enough so that his blade comes right back at him and then destroys him and stuff. You can't really absorb him otherwise, and I can understand that. This enemy actually appears within the second playable character Call's stage. Although he does, I think, appear in Trinity's level. So, there's a grate. Alright, so we're coming up to the final stretch. Time is coming up when I hit the goal. We gotta use Seismic's bound effect, though. So, oh, unfortunate. Yeah, as you saw right there, we have that invisible appearing enemy right there that requires me to, have to bounce off the enemies and stuff just to get to that ledge. Holy heck. But, we're gonna try that again. This is the final mission after all, and I do want to see if we can at least get to that goal. Otherwise, it's been quite a fun time, and I am still going to make the attempts to fight as many mighty numbers as I can, using the boss rush. Again, I do apologize if that doesn't fall through, but oh! Thank you for avoiding that. That was very bizarre, but also that place that I got knocked back is also a very easy way to insta-die because of the non-existent iframes when it comes to insta-death traps. Anyway, but yeah. Also, so as we're going through this stage, I do want to give a few shout-outs to some of the people behind this game, more particularly people within the voice cast that I recognize for the dub. Shout out to Yuri Lowenthal, who is Beck's voice and is also known for roles like Sasuke Uchiha from Naruto and Peter Parker within the PS4 Spider-Man games. He's also... What's another good role that he's done? Well, he is the current voice of Marth from Fire Emblem, so chances are you've heard him do that. Matthew Mercer is the voice of Chrom and also Pyrogen, Mighty Number 1, who we'll be seeing in the boss rush. And he is probably one of my favorite actors because he's also Jotaro Kujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures dub. Steve Bloom is Countershade. He's Spike Spiegel and Wolverine. And that's all you need to know, bub. And, yeah, just a bunch of other names. Jason Spisak was Geostellar. He is Dr. White in this game. Geostellar being Mega Man, Star Force, and Time. That is complete.
GG's.
Yep, just shout out to the voice cast. I know this game may get a bad rap, but I think you all did what you could, and you get my respect for that. So, yeah. That final mission right there also likes to give you a rank. Very funny, but also kind of fitting for the end of a run like this one. Alright then, so, we have some mighty numbers to beat, and this is going to be my way of saying, I'm sorry that I couldn't learn any %, but I think this will do just fine. Now, I am giving...
We have some mighty numbers to beat, and we also need to hydrate.
Indeed.
We had hydrate redeemed in the chat. Everybody, please hydrate now. That is some impressive hydration right there.
Well, it's the last of my water bottle. Gotta make it epic.
Committed to hydration. It is incentive time. You all donated for it.
Alright, so I'm gonna try and manage as best as I can. So the estimate is approximately 10 minutes maximum. We're gonna reset the timer there for it and just see how long I can get this going. But otherwise, we'll see how it all ends up, because I have to do boss rush, and that means I got 1 life, 2 insta-heals, and that can be a bit tough. So I'm gonna let Mr. Cab try to explain the bosses as best he can, because we also have an intro boss to go through. So, Cab, are you ready to rock?
Let's do it.
All right.
No, wait, Rock's another game. Rock's a different game.
Yeah. The funny
Beck
thing...
and call.
Yeah, beck and call. We're at your beck and call. Classic Inafune. All right then, let's begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I suppose we're killing bosses, and that's the idea here. I am desperately trying to remember what the first boss even is. You know, it's that intro stage boss, so you fought it a million times.
It's the Round Digger, my friend.
Just waiting for it to load up on the screen. If anything, the complaint with the Xbox One version, that's him, is that it does have the longest load times of between this game, Steam, and the PS4. In a normal run, you don't really have weapons. I think there is a New Game Plus effective.
It's actually Maniac
game.
mode.
Yeah, but you're seeing the strat right there. It's just blow it up. And with bosses in this game, the mechanic is every time it kind of turns purple like that, you do have to accelerate near it to absorb some of the Zell. Otherwise, it will slowly regain that chunk of its health back. Once you've taken that, fifth or quarter of its health, it is gone forever. So here's Mighty Number One. Mighty Number One wants to give you a big ol' hug and let you know just how much he loves you. Unfortunately, weak to wind and obvious weapon. So the main idea here is to just keep these propellers in its face. I recall there was like a juggling mechanic at some point to kind of keep a lot of propellers going. But here, the mighty numbers, once they're about halfway down, do have sort of a desperation phase. The big thing with Mighty Number One you want to keep in mind here is those flames. Obvious weapon is putting the fire out now and again, and that is pretty important. This blue phase, don't get hugged. Just don't get hugged. He wants to hug you and take you down.
Yeah, so whenever he hugs me with the blue flames, that is going to be an instant kill attack, and that is... Now, unfortunately, I did take quite a bit more damage than I could have possibly avoided, and Cryo is definitely no pushover. I'm going to be very careful, and I might just use my first of the 2 heals, but we'll see what happens.
So Cryo is weak to fire.
Oh, no!
So
I just wasted the second one.
Yeah. Cryo's weapon is basically like just an explosion around Beck himself. It's a little awkward to use. You want to kind of just get in Cryo's face, and here you're probably going to see it because those Cryo's just hanging out by the ceiling. You can't really get there, so only so much health you can take off. It's not bad because taking a little bit of health still like lessens how much you need to get the next bit taken down. You can kind of see there's an orange meter under Beck as well. Pyro's weapon can be charged, and that is extremely useful just to do more damage and cover a greater area. So I think we're going to start seeing this desperation phase here with the kind of wave attack. It's hard to avoid.
It's quite hard to avoid. We're going to try that again. Shout out to Cryo's boss room, though. I do agree that it is probably one of the cooler ones because within the engine, they were able to replicate these monitors that actually record your gameplay or your movement, so to speak. So within that perspective, Beck... You can basically see Beck moving and stuff, and Cryo, and it's pretty cool. I don't think that's something you can easily do, but I could be wrong, because as much as I want to get into game development, I can't say I know Unreal Engine that well. So we're just going to try that again. You might have noticed that I'm doing these fine plays, according to the announcer. That's just a bit of a score boost, but it's also when I just do something effective within the fight, I guess. For instance, I had Cryo topple over when she was doing her ice tower, and just sort of an interruption using Pyro's weapon. That's just an example of one of 2 fine plays that you can possibly get, and some of which are tied to the achievements that you can get within this game. No lie, there's a good chance that within one of these boss fights I could get an achievement. We'll see, and my notification on the Xbox is set to pop up if that does happen. We'll roll with it because I think it's funny. I think it's a funny idea anyway, but and it comes to show that I am indeed playing on an Xbox One. But enough said. I do want to give a shout out to the publisher Deep Silver for having an Xbox sale that allowed me to get the DLC of this game at a relatively cheap price. So this does mean that I can play the extra stuff if I so please, but we'll get to that another day. Alright, so we're back to Pyro, and again, shout out to Matthew Mercer. Oh yeah, Fred Tatishcore does Seismic. I think some people might recognize him. But he was the demon that killed the corrupt Pope in the Netflix Castlevania series, known as Blue Fangs. He knows how to do demon voices and deep voices. It's pretty cool. All right, so we're back to Cryo. So what exactly happened the last fight was I accidentally misused my second full heal, which is another problem within this game, period. So, yeah, we're going to try and avoid that, because apparently this game forgot to have programming that detects when your health's already full and you don't need a heal. Oh, but it looks like she wants to get up from her stun, and oh gosh, dang it, Cryo. Why do you gotta do this to me? She's pretty responsive when it comes to Beck getting frozen, and will immediately try and smash me with this frozen ice mace. Oh. That was pretty close. So that was a level 3 pyro charge. If I go at it for too long, I will have just as big an explosion, but it will force me to have to cool down for a bit, and that's no fun. Alright. Let's see what we can do here. By the way, Cab, we can all recognize that Cryo likes to make ice puns.
It's very ice. She's pretty chill.
Pretty much.
Yeah, chat has observed that this room's pretty cool.
Indeed. Oh, I see what you did there. Come on. Oh, come on. This is it. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. So now we're moving on to...
Cryo is probably the hardest boss in this game.
Yeah, probably. I really kind of wish they made me choose my own pace for the boss rush, or at least tried to be random. But hey, numerical order is one thing, I guess. Now we're moving on to Dynatron, and her weakness is Brandish. And,
Cut the cord.
Cut the cord. Alright, I'm just gonna try and avoid taking close range damage, because I think I want to save my heal for Mick. A little bit more so, anyway. And now I'm just going to charge up Brand's attack for a down slash to instantly destroy these for a fine play. I love doing that. That's... No! Oh, contact damage. Alright. One more attempt. We're going to make one more attempt at this one, and then we're just going to call it right there. But I hope you guys have been able to enjoy this little presentation of the unseen things of Mighty Number 9. I really hope that it got to show some aspiring game designers what not to do for challenges. And more importantly, I just hope you guys are enjoying this marathon. I'm so glad to be here again. Last time during Horrible Games 2 Undead in 2020, I was here to do Shovel Knight Showdown and Castlevania Legends, both for an interesting time. Even had the wonderful Bro Sensha with me during Legends, and shout out to Bro. Thank you again for your time then. I hope that this won't be the last time I'm here, because I certainly want to be able to show off some horrible games as best I can. But otherwise, yeah, this is just Mighty Number 9. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and shout out to the community that was responsible for having worked on Mighty Number 9. Shout out to the Mega Man community as well, and the Mega Man RTA leaderboards for having a leaderboard, as well as src.com. You can check out all different categories on what you can possibly do through both of those things. And there are also plenty of other games too. One of my upcoming targets on speedruns that I'd like to learn is a game that I'm sure Mr. Cab is gonna consider near and dear to his heart. It's the wonderful Mega Man B for Game Boy. And it's
a good video game.
It is a good video game. Oh, Pyro. Thank you. Anger management, much appreciated. Alrighty. So now we're just gonna press on. at this point, to keep in with the 10 or so minute time limit, I'm going to probably end it at a particular boss. But for now, we're going to try and surpass Dinah, we're especially, so, you know, we're back to Cryo.
Cryo was also one of the demo stages in this game, and you had to Buster only it, and it was just as hard then too.
Well, I guess that's time. Welp.
Cryo just told you to chill.
She did. And you know what? That's fine.
All right, well, GG's for both of those lovely showcases.
Thank you very much for having me. Again, sorry to everyone who might have wanted the full package, but I honest to God hope you guys enjoyed that for what it is. And, yeah, Mighty Number 9 is not that bad a speed game. Consider learning it. You might find something interesting about it. Just be careful if you want to casually play it first.
I feel like most of the problems with this game came when a lot of people would turn it on and it would crash like crazy. Literally, I saw other speedrunners also play this game on either the Wii U or the PS3, and some of the textures literally, I felt like it was the Nintendo 64 era again, because it was like a box with a picture of a turret spray painted on the side of it. So play this game on either Steam, Xbox One, or your PlayStation 4. The run that was done at GDQ was on a PS4. Steam, if your computer can handle it, is just fine. Especially these days, it probably is. And really, if you can get past the crashing, which doesn't seem to happen as much anymore, it is a fine speed game. It actually is. It's not nearly as bad as everybody says. It is aggressively below average.
This is very true.
It's fun.
It's fun. It is fun. All right, then. If you guys want to catch me whenever I'm streaming, of course, I am Tempestmask1000. That be my Twitch. I have a Twitter at SteveVortexVA for reasons. Someday, I might be able to make something big regarding that correlation, but until then, thank you again for tuning into Mighty Number 9, and coming up next, we have Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of Patriots, a wonderful game in its own right, run by Mr. Joseph Joestar. Until we meet again, everybody, this is Tempestmask1000 signing off, and shoutouts to Green Z Saber, who ran this game at AGDQ 2017. You rock, man. Ciao, Michi.
All right, as Tempest Mask 1000 said, we do have a run of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots